Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi describes June 30th revolution as the eternal revolution that marked the beginning of a new republic. Egypt's Prime Minister participates in the 4th UN Conference on Financing for Development in Spain. And Egypt's economy marks its fastest quarterly growth in 3 years. You're watching Q News. These are the news from Egypt with me, Hani Saif, on the 12th anniversary of the June 30th revolution. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi described it as the eternal revolution that marked the beginning of a new republic. Speaking on the 12th anniversary of the revolution, President al-Sisi affirmed that Egyptians reclaimed Egypt's identity, confronted terrorism, thwarted attempts of extortion, and redirected the state to its rightful path. The Egyptian leader highlighted the achievements made since 2013, emphasizing Egypt's commitment to stability and comprehensive development. President al-Sisi called for peace in the region, asserting that true peace is built on justice, understanding, and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state. President al-Sisi marked 12 years since Egypt's 30th of June revolution, calling for unity, regional peace, and justice-based solutions amid escalating Middle East conflicts.
حيث اتفق المجتمعون على خارطة مستقبل تتضمن خطوات أولية تحقق بناء مجتمع مصري قوي ومتماسك لا يقصي أحدا من أبنائه.
In a speech commemorating the 12th anniversary of the 30th June revolution, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi described the event as a defining moment in Egypt's modern history. He praised the Egyptian people for standing firm against terrorism, chaos, and attempts to derail the nation, saying the revolution marked the beginning of a new republic built on actions and achievements. Addressing ongoing regional conflicts, President al-Sisi highlighted the suffering caused by wars in Gaza, Sudan, Libya, Syria, Yemen, and Somalia. He urged all parties and the international community to seek peaceful solutions, emphasizing that true peace cannot be imposed by force or superficial agreements, but must be founded on justice, equality, and mutual understanding.
إن مصر الداعمة دائما للسلام تؤمن بأن السلام لا يولد بالقذف ولا يفرض بالقوة ولا يتحقق بتطبيع ترفضه الشعوب. فالسلام الحق يبنى على أسس العدل والإنصاف والتفاهم.
The president reiterated Egypt's stance that lasting peace in the Middle East requires the establishment of an independent Palestinian state based on the 1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as its capital. He cited the 1970s Egyptian-Israeli peace agreement as proof that genuine peace is possible when intentions are sincere. President al-Sisi also emphasized that Egypt's strength derives from its people's unity, awareness, and rejection of division, stating that the citizens are the backbone and heart of the nation. Acknowledging the challenges facing the country, he assured that alleviating citizens' burdens remains a top priority amid regional instability. Egypt remains to forging a path of stability, development, and peace, both within its borders and across the region, as it continues to navigate complex challenges and uphold its pivotal role on the international stage.
Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has affirmed that Libya's stability is integral to Egypt's national security. During a meeting with the Libyan National Army's Commander-in-Chief, Field Marshal Khalifa Haftar, President al-Sisi emphasized Egypt's commitment to supporting Libya's security, unity, and sovereignty. Sisi also highlighted the importance of a coordinated political roadmap to facilitate simultaneous presidential and parliamentary elections in Libya, while stressing on the necessity of confronting foreign intervention and the withdrawal of foreign troops and mercenaries from all Libyan territories. For his part, Field Marshal Haftar expressed his deep gratitude for Egypt's pivotal role in restoring stability in Libya. The Libyan National Army's commander-in-chief also praised Egypt's contribution to Libya's development through exporting its developmental model to the country. Egypt's First Lady, Mrs. Intisar al-Sisi, has stated that the June 30th revolution remains a testament to the awareness, unity and determination of the Egyptian people to protect their nation. In a Facebook post commemorating the revolution's 12th anniversary, Egypt's First Lady praised the Egyptian people's free will and their commitment to protecting Egyptian national identity. Egypt's Prime Minister, Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, has participated in the opening session of the 4th United Nations Conference on Financing for Development in Seville, Spain, representing President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Speakers, including Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, emphasized the importance of fulfilling development financing commitments, reforming international financial institutions, and strengthening multilateral cooperation to support sustainable development and tackle global challenges. Egypt's Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli has met with Ayuda NEPAD Executive Director Nardos Bekele Tomas at the 4th UN Conference on Financing for Development in Seville, Spain. Madbouli reaffirmed Spain's support for NEPAD's development goals, focusing on cooperation and sustainable financing with African partners. Bekele Tomas highlighted efforts to launch a development fund and sought Egypt's technical support. Progress on a climate and disaster resilience center was discussed, with Madbouli pledging full backing. Minister Rania Mashad confirmed ongoing coordination to support these initiatives. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and his Palestinian counterpart, Mohammed Mustafa, discussed Egypt's unwavering and continued support for the Palestinian people and their legitimate rights. Prime Minister Madbouli highlighted President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's efforts to achieve a ceasefire and support the reconstruction of Gaza. He stressed that Egypt remains committed to supporting the Palestinian cause until the Palestinian people attain their just rights, including the establishment of an independent, sovereign state with East Jerusalem as its capital. On behalf of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Egypt's central bank governor Hassan Abdullah attended the 32nd annual meetings of the African Export-Import Bank in Abuja, Nigeria. Governor Abdullah reaffirmed Egypt's commitment to supporting sustainable development and regional cooperation in Africa. He held key meetings with Gabon's president and the newly elected bank president, Dr. George Elombi, congratulating him and thanking the outgoing president, Professor Benedict Orama. Additionally, the governor visited the Central Bank of Nigeria to discuss enhanced cooperation in financial stability, fintech innovation, and cross-border collaboration. The Arab Republic of Egypt has extended its heartfelt condolences to the brotherly nation of Sudan, following the tragic collapse of a gold mining site in eastern Sudan, which claimed dozens of lives. In a statement, Egypt affirmed its full solidarity with Sudan as it faces this painful ordeal. The Egyptian government conveyed its sympathies to the Sudanese government, people, and the families of the victims, while wishing a speedy recovery to those injured in the incident. Egypt's House of Representatives has approved a revision to the 2024-2025 state budget, adding 85 billion Egyptian pounds to cover higher interest payments driven by the Egyptian pound's depreciation and rising borrowing costs. Interest rates on public debt climbed to historic levels, with short-term borrowing pushing up debt servicing costs by 57.1 billion pounds. The budget amendment also updates legal treasury schedules for the fiscal year ending June 30th of 2025. The original budget aimed for a 7.3% fiscal deficit and a 3.5% primary surplus, but regional developments may lead to further adjustments. Pharmaceutical sales in Egypt have surged to 96 billion Egyptian pounds, around $1.9 billion in the first quarter of 2025. According to the Egyptian Drug Authority, while sales volume increased by just 6%, the sharp rise in market value was largely due to significant price increases of 30 to 50%, expansion in local production, and the introduction of high-cost treatments like oncology drugs. Local producers currently meet 93% of domestic demand and plan to invest £4 billion to add 20 new production lines this year. Cairo University has officially licensed EasyVent, the first critical care ventilator entirely designed, developed and manufactured in Egypt. Created in partnership with AZ Medical Industries, the device meets international safety and performance standards. Developed through a fully Egyptian scientific, engineering and medical collaboration, EasyVent marks a significant stride towards domestic self-sufficiency in essential medical equipment. The Faculty of Medicine at Cairo University developed the prototype and conducted clinical trials at its continuing medical education center and intensive care unit. Results confirmed the ventilator's effectiveness with no adverse effects or psychological or physiological changes in patients, validating its readiness for critical care use. Egypt's economy has expanded by 4.77% in the third quarter of the fiscal year 2024-2025, marking its fastest quarterly growth in 3 years. The Ministry of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation announced this rise sharply outpaced last year's 2.2% growth for the same quarter and lifted the average growth for the first 9 months to 4.2%. Key drivers included a 24.2% surge in private investment, a 54.4% jump in exports, and robust gains in non-oil manufacturing, tourism, and telecommunications. Despite a 45.6% drop in public investment and declines in Suez Canal activity and extractive industries, the overall outlook remains positive. Egypt's Ministry of Finance has announced plans to pay exporters 50% of their outstanding dues in cash for shipments made before the end of June 2024, beginning in the 2025-2026 fiscal year. The payments will be spread over 4 years to boost liquidity and support export activities. Finance Minister Ahmed Kojoka said the government expects to disperse over £25 billion to around 2,400 exporting companies. He highlighted that the initiative is part of broader fiscal policies aimed at stimulating economic growth led by the private sector. Coordination with the Export Development Fund has been initiated to facilitate cash payments, which will start on August 7th through 4 banks: the National Bank of Egypt, Bank Misr, Bank du Caire, and the Export Development Bank. These are all the news we have for now, but here's a reminder of today's main Egyptian stories. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi describes the June 30th revolution as the eternal revolution that marked the beginning of a new republic. Egypt's Prime Minister participates in the 4th UN Conference on Financing for Development in Spain. And Egypt's economy marks its fastest quarterly growth in 3 years. That's all for our Egyptian News Bulletin for now, but please remember to stay updated by following Q News for the latest updates. Thank you for joining us.